Hello my little creators, welcome back. My name is Karen Laura and this is for numero dos of my bunny illustration and call Oliver. And by now you probably know that this is also my entry for the hashtag BB for the hashtag BB giveaway that is going on Instagram by the YouTuber called Brushes and Bunny, and I will put in a link to her channel in my description box so you can go ahead and check her out. But first, let's start with the list of materials that we will be using for this particular illustrations, and that will be the Winsor and Newton, the Shinhan Watercolors, some cheap watercolors that I've had for a long time, as well as brushes. Now I'm going to begin painting my background first, and I found this really awesome photograph taking of a close-up of a tree branch, and then of course the background is all blurry and so abstract looking, and I decided to use that for reference in my background. I'm starting with the yellow colors and the lighter ones, and then I will be slowly moving on to the darkers. I am working rather fast too because I need my paper to be kept wet, so that the colors that I'm putting on top will blend nicely with the ones that I already done on the bottom. I will be also putting a little bit of dark yellow and blues because upon zooming into the photograph I noticed that there were some little hints of blue and darker yellow very blended in the background, but still nonetheless visible. The darker green that you see right here is a combination between the green and the blue that I was talking about, and I will be putting the name of the colors in my description box because right now the names sort of escape my mind, but if you want to know the exact name of those colors I will be putting them in the description box below, so go ahead and check that out. So once my background is completely dry, that I've let it dry and is no longer wet, I will move on to my leaves. And for my leaves I will be using a combination of yellows, orange, reddish and browns. Now I sort of made the leaf, well the first leaf that I did was sort of a little mistake in there because I used a red color that was one of the cheapest watercolors that I had, and it sort of made it look like a little bit like ew. It's the best word that I can use to describe it. So after that I just left my cheap watercolors out of the painting and started using only the Winsor and Newton and Shinhan. So my process with the leaves was a light yellow followed by a darker yellow, some orange, a red orange, and finally some browns. I of course didn't film the whole process because the video would end up being super long. So after I am done with my leaves and they have dried, of course I have to give them time to dry, I will go into my branches. For the branches I used a really dark brown combined with blue, and I will be using this brown and blue for the majority of the painting afterwards. I am working on a wet on dry and just drying out those winds of branches that you see right there. Once I have finished the branches, and of course one more time giving them a chance to dry it off, I will begin painting in the window frame that you see right there. Now I am be calling it the frame. That's the given name that I've chosen for it. So I am using again one more time a wet on wet technique, and I'm wetting the frame, and again I'm using the dark brown with blue because I want to give it a sort of rustic looking texture or so. I want it to be like this window has seen better days, and right now is not one of those. So we'll be using brown, and I will be using some of that pure blue for the underneath of the whole frame and some part of the wall to simulate some sort of shadow like. Once I am finished with that, I will finally be going into coloring Oliva right here. Now I know that he didn't exactly came out looking the same as he was in the photograph, since I did use some browns and much more darker browns, but nevertheless I am still using the photograph as a reference to know where the shadows are and where the lighter parts of his body is. One more time, I'm wetting his whole body before I start putting any paint into it, and I'm working rather fast so those colors get to blend with the water that is already there on him. And I found that doing the Verde effect with watercolor was much more easier than I thought it was possible. Of course, I did do my research because I have never drawn any sort of fur before in my life, but it turned out to be really easy. So if you're thinking about doing watercolors and you think, oh my god, it's going to be a pain to draw things like this, I can assure you it's not. It's super easy. For the eye, I will be using again the darkest brown and the blue, and I will be doing multiple layers on top of each other, so it looks much more darker, but at the beginning it just looks a little bit lighter. I will be also switching to a much more thinner brush, and I'll be using this brush to do the fur. At all times I'm always checking the photograph of Oliva, and for his little cute tiny whiskers, which by the way he has so many of them, I will be using a white jelly pen, and this jelly pen is called Uniball. I will be going just like watercolor, I will be building multiple layers of that white jelly pen. And this was pretty much it. This was my whole process for drawing Oliva. So I hope you found this video helpful and enjoyable to watch. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, give me a thumbs up if you like what I'm doing, share, it's completely free. And until we get to talk with each other again, this is where I log off. Bye bye.